My sister Tracy is the one who said to me, Toni, you know, when you make it, you can help us come on. So I always try to abide that. But the responsibility of it is so heavy for me. I feel I can never live my life, and I never used to say it. I never used to say anything to anybody, but since we've been doing this show.
Toni can treat them people however the fuck she want to treat them people because they really like tried to share her spotlight. I don't like, they tried to forcefully make her share her stardom. Made her feel bad because she wanted to live out her dreams and they felt like they deserved to be there right with her. And they didn't. Toni is the star.
Imagine being in a family and then your own sisters turn out to be your biggest op. That's what Toni Braxton has been going through ever since she started her career. Toni Braxton is the most successful member of the Braxton family, but that success came with a heavy burden. She was expected to carry her entire family with her every step of the way. And after all these years, Toni is now finally admitting just how burnt out she is and why she won't forgive her sisters, especially Trina, for still pushing all of the burden on her, even when they got comfortable enough to pick up the slack. You can be brought up in the same home and be completely different from one another, and that's a normal thing, but the Braxtons take that to a whole other level, and it's clear that these sisters do not get along, and there is not one who's felt the strange family dynamic more than Toni Braxton.
Did you have to parent them?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
When I was about 13 or 14, my mom, she had a really bad accident. She fell. Her back was really messed up, so she was in hospital a long time. And so I was a surrogate parent for a moment.
Where was Dad?
Working, had to make a living, had 6 kids.
So what would it look like for you if it were different? If you didn't have that responsibility and if they weren't leaning on you, what would your life look like? What would you be doing?
Well, I would have soared higher.
You think so?
Absolutely.
She's the eldest of the Braxton siblings, and it just so happens that she is one of the most successful female R&B artists ever. With 70 million albums sold and 7 Grammys to her name, she is high up there with the greats, okay? She is the living legend, Toni Braxton. She started out singing with her sisters, the Braxtons, in the early 80s, but when she started singing, L.A. Reid and Kenneth Babyface Edmonds were so impressed with her vocals that they offered her a solo deal. And in 1993, her first album, Toni Braxton, was released, and it was getting rave reviews and major success. It climbed to #1 on the Billboard 200 and sold over 10 million copies. Toni had a lot of momentum and expectation backing her when she released her second album, Secrets. And it was another smash success after the single Unbreak My Heart sold 10 million copies worldwide, making it one of the top-selling singles released ever. She has actually released 9 studio albums, with the most recent one coming out in 2020, and all of them have seen considerable success. With Toni being in the spotlight and making all of this money so soon after the sisters began their music careers, everyone sort of looked up to her and expected her to take care of things. And Toni did just that. But as she became even more successful, her sisters got too comfortable with her covering most of their family's financial needs, while they took a back seat. And from what Toni said, it wasn't too easy for her to do either. And the only one who helped out, without Toni even having to ask, was Tamar.
And Daddy's divorced, and a divorced mom pretty much got nothing. I'm not going to leave my mom by herself. So I'm going to make sure my mother's taken care of. None of my siblings have helped me take care of my mother to make sure she was okay, except for Tamar.
And for clarity, that was before Vince. Put some respect on Tamar's coin. And what annoyed Toni the most was that her sisters, Trina and Tawanda, were always taking more than what they were willing to give. Yeah, sister or not, Trina has always had a right to be compensated for the years of backup singing that she had done for Toni. She has bills to pay just like everyone else, and if Toni would pay a stranger, then why doesn't she want to pay her sister? But the thing is, even when Trina was paid and getting more gigs of her own, she still finds a reason to skimp out financially, saying that she ain't got it like that and isn't financially stable. And what made this even more crazy is that even with all of the talk of Toni being the more successful one, she had major problems of her own. You know how most artists get into shady deals with their record labels and end up seeing very little of what they actually made? Well, it happened to Toni Braxton as well. Her albums generated over $170 million for her record label, yet she only received a fraction of it. She made less than 35 cents per album, and she sued her label for placing her under a slave contract, despite the millions that she made for Arista and LaFace Records. Toni somehow only gets $2,000 in royalties when she receives the checks. And she has to give all that money back to the label to cover her travel and lifestyle costs, as well as studio time and music production. Her situation was so bad that she had to file for bankruptcy not once, but twice. And she was accused of fraudulently transferring $53,000 to her ex-husband, Kerry Lewis, in order to avoid paying creditors. During her first bankruptcy, Toni tried to draw more attention to the shady contracts that she was put under and came to Oprah to sort of gain people's sympathy and attention. But girl, Toni ain't know that Oprah was good friends with LaFace record execs. And because Toni's interview would make LaFace look bad, Oprah turned the tables on her and heavily scolded her for spending lavishly. The interview turned out to be a very humiliating experience for Toni, and anyone who watched the show would see Oprah was very unsympathetic and kind of cruel towards her.
She was so freaking mean to me. I was in shock.
Do you take responsibility for the situation that you're in right now?
100%.
100%.
100%. I couldn't believe it because I loved her so much. I admired her and looked up to her. And she pretty much reprimanded me.
I read that you were upset about stories that your overspending caused this.
She says to me, I hear you have Gucci flatware. I'm Oprah Winfrey and I don't have Gucci flatware.
First of all, I didn't know Gucci made silverware.
You ain't got Gucci flatware because you didn't want to buy it. It's not because you couldn't afford it. What do you mean? And immediately, she made me feel this big.
The second time she filed for bankruptcy, it was because she was very sick and dealing with lupus and a heart condition that forced her to cancel her Las Vegas shows. While she was having to deal with the damages that came from canceling all of her shows, she was also hit with a lien by the IRS claiming that she owed over $340,000 in back taxes. The state of California Franchise Tax Board hit her with another tax lien of their own, saying that she owed around $110,000 in taxes. That means that Toni had to pay almost $500,000 in taxes while also paying for a lot of the expensive treatment that she had to receive for her condition. It's crazy that Toni was able to bounce back after filing for bankruptcy twice, and people have been saying that that's part of the reason why she had money problems was because she was bending over backwards to carry everyone while being cheated by her label. But at this point, it's more than just the money when it comes to Toni. She's done with feeling unappreciated by her family when she does so much to support them, and also she's tired of the toxic environment that they are constantly creating. Before Tracy died, they all promised that they would try their best to get along, but now it seems that things have just gotten worse. Tamar wasn't present for Tawanda's recent wedding ceremony, and none of the sisters attended the premiere of Tamar and their mom's new cooking show. When Toni tried to wish Tamar a happy birthday, she realized that she had been blocked by her sister for no good reason and had to call Tamar out on that. And with everything we've seen with the Braxtons so far, people agree with Toni's sentiments about her family weighing her down. Toni Braxton sees her family as a burden, even though she loves them, and that's the reality for a lot of people, unfortunately. Toni Braxton's entire family was jealous of her success, the mother too. But do you agree that Toni could have done more without her family weighing her down? Sound off in the comments. And if you want to know why Tawanda has always had a bone to pick with Tamar, make sure you watch this next video because there's always something that's going on with these Braxtons. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye, baddies.